So what is plate tectonics? Plate tectonics is a scientific theory that describes the motion of many plates on the lithosphere, which is the rigid, outermost shell of the planet. The plates are made of oceanic lithosphere and thicker continental lithosphere. Each is covered in its own crust. There are 7 large plates and then many smaller ones. The theory is used to explain how the continents move. So how did we come up with this theory? The theory was developed throughout the 1950s and 70s. The theory is a modern version of continental drift, a theory first proposed by Alfred in 1912. Wegener's theory didn't explain how the continents could move, but the modern plate tectonics theory does. Speaking of which, how does plate tectonics work? Because of the intense heat from the Earth's core, molten rock in the mantle layer moves, causing the plates to shift and move over long periods of time. The pattern it moves in is called a convection cell, which forms when warm material rises, cools, and eventually sinks down. As the cooled material sinks down, it becomes warm and rises again. New parts of the plates rise because of the heat and thinness of the plates. As hot magma rises to the surface, it spreads ridges and forms new crust. The new crust pushes the rest of the plate out of the way. This is known as a ridge push. An important part of plate tectonics is mantle convection. Mantle convection causes tectonic plates to move around the Earth's surface. Mantle convection is the slow creeping of Earth's silicate mantle, caused by the convection currents carrying heat from inside the Earth to the surface. The Earth's surface is made up of the lithosphere, which rides atop the asthenosphere, making the upper mantle. The lithosphere is divided into a number of plates that are constantly being created and consumed at their opposite plate boundaries. Accretion, which is the process of growth or increase, typically by the gradual accumulation of additional layers or matter, occurs as the mantle is added to the growing edges of the plate. This hot added material cools down by conduction and convection of heat. At the consumption edges of the plate, the material is thermally contracted and become dense. It sinks under its own weight in the process of subduction. This subducted material sinks through the interior of the Earth. Some subducted material reaches the lower mantle, while in other places it is stopped from sinking any further. This subducted crust triggers volcanism. Another important part of the plate tectonics theory is boundary types. Boundaries are linear features that exist between 2 tectonic plates that are moving away from each other. These boundaries initially cause rifts in continents, which eventually cause rift valleys. There are 3 types of boundaries: convergent boundaries, divergent boundaries, and transform boundaries. Convergent boundaries occur when 2 plates are colliding. A subduction zone can be created from this if one or both of the plates are made of oceanic crust. The denser plate is subducted underneath the less dense plate. The plate being forced under is eventually melted and destroyed. Divergent boundaries occur when 2 plates are moving apart. The space created from the diverging plates can also fill when new crustal material sourced from molten magma that forms below. Divergent boundaries can form within continents, but will eventually open up and become ocean basins. Transform boundaries are when plates slide past each other. The relative motion of the plates is horizontal. They can occur underwater or on land, and crust is neither created nor destroyed. So those are the basics of the plate tectonics theory. Plate tectonics is a very interesting subject when it comes to learning about the Earth. It explains how the continents and land masses that we all know today got here, and how they are going to change in the future.